Hi, my name's Lily, and I'll be providing a comprehensive Duggar rundown for those who might not know as much about the Duggars but are interested in the coverage. Just as a quick note, I did my best to research this and fact check myself, but if anybody corrects me in the comments, I'll make sure to add any corrections in the description. Let's get started with our patriarch. James Robert Duggar, also known as Jim Bob, grew up with his mother Mary, father Jael, and sister Deanna. He claims they grew up very poor and that his father was a weak spiritual leader. He often mentions this in different conferences he attends and speaks at, and then also in at least one of his books that I've read. Mary Duggar, his mother, however, was a devout Christian. Jim Bob attended Christian school and had a relationship with God from an early age. Michelle Annette Ruark grew up with her mother, father, and 6 siblings who were considerably older than her. She struggled with an eating disorder and did not have a relationship with God until her teen years. So how did this couple meet? Well, when Jim Bob was 17, he was doing home visits for his church with a friend. During one of these visits, he got to meet Michelle. He remembers it being love at first sight, but she's kind of reported that she really doesn't remember him at all. He prayed to God after that meeting that he could be her spiritual leader one day. About a year later, Michelle started working at the yogurt shop where Mary was the manager. He asked her out, and after their first date, they discussed the Bible for 4 hours. Michelle's family was planning to move from Arkansas to North Carolina, so Jim Bob decided, I don't want her to go away to North Carolina, let's get married. So in July of 1984, after a fairly short dating period, at the ages of 19 and 17, Jim Bob and Michelle were wed. Jim Bob went on to work at a grocery store for a few years, and then they later ran a used car lot together for many years. Now they're mostly investing in real estate properties and doing that kind of thing. After getting married, they did decide to take the birth control pill. After their first child, Joshua, they unfortunately suffered a miscarriage. Their doctor told them that the pill actually caused the miscarriage, and they then decided to leave their family size up to God. This kind of goes in with Jim Bob and Michelle joining the IBLP, which was founded by Bill Gothard. I'll do another rundown of the IBLP, but essentially it's an umbrella organization that supplies homeschool content. They put on conferences, and they also give out basic principles for how to live a successful Christian life. So many IBLP families look a lot like the Duggars, probably without 19 kids. I know that a lot of them do leave their family size up to God, so they definitely do have larger families. Bill Gothard, the founder, has been exposed as being a sexual predator. Jim Bob and Michelle decided to raise their children strictly and under IBLP teachings. Growing up, they weren't allowed to watch TV, they had to dress extremely modestly, and they couldn't dance. When they reached a certain age, they were allowed to court rather than dating. Essentially, they always used the phrase dating with a purpose to describe courtship. They would remain extremely pure. They weren't really allowed to kiss before marriage, and they would always have chaperones even if they were in their mid to late 20s. From 1999 to 2002, Jim Bob served as a member of the Arkansas House of Representatives. In 2002, he did run for the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate, but he lost. In 2006, he ran for the Republican nomination for the 35th Senate seat and lost again. In 2021, while his son was on trial, he ran for the Arkansas State Senate but lost. So how did the Duggars end up on television? Well, in 2004, the Duggars were discovered after Michelle wrote a magazine article, and Discovery Health aired a 1-hour special about the Mega family. In 2006, 3 more specials aired, and in 2007, the final special was released. In 2008, TLC aired 17 Kids and Counting. The show would later turn into 19 and 18 Kids and Counting, following the births of new children. I'm getting ready to go into information on Josh. I will have chapters set up in this YouTube video so you can skip directly to Jana if you're not interested in hearing about Josh and everything he has gotten himself into. Joshua James Duggar was born in 1988. He was the first of his parents' 19 children. From the ages of 11 to 14, Josh would visit the state capitol with his father for work. Those who worked in the Capitol building allegedly referred to Josh as the Little Governor. Growing up, Josh claimed he wanted to be a lawyer. Josh was betrothed to Jim Bob's childhood friend, Jim Holt's daughter, in their early teen years. Josh worked on Jim Holt's political campaign. In the years of 2002 and 2003, Josh essayed 4 of his sisters and a babysitter. He was not reported to police, but rather was forced to shave his head, do manual labor at a church friend's home for weeks, and end his betrothal. He also had to confess what he had done to Jim Holt's wife and daughter. The crimes were not reported at the time, but rather Jim Bob had him speak with a friend of his who was a state trooper. This state trooper was later convicted for CSAM crimes. In 2006, Josh was reported by the family to the police and came to make a statement. This statement was made after the statute of limitations on his crimes had run out. It's not really known exactly why they waited so long to make a statement, but most people think it's because enough people had found out and kind of told other people that they felt pressured to go to the police. Josh met Florida-born Anna Renee Keller at an IBLP homeschool conference in 2006, the same year the police report was made. Anna was the fifth of 8 children. Her father, Mike, had spent most of her life in the prison ministry as his full-time job. Her mother's name is Suzette. It is said that they grew up on the poorer side. I will most likely be doing a rundown on the Keller family at a later date. When Josh met Anna, he said it was love at first sight. He spent the next 2 years preparing himself for marriage. Soon after meeting, they were able to fellowship, and Mike advised Anna to pray that Josh would find interest in her. Her prayers worked, and on her 20th birthday, Josh proposed to her in a gator-themed restaurant. It is speculated that Josh and Anna did not have an official courtship and went straight from the getting-to-know-you phase to engagement. From the point of their engagement to their wedding in September of 2008, and then until 2015, Josh and Anna's relationship was documented for the family's TLC show. During their vows, they promised to leave their family size up to God, and that they did. From 2009 to 2021, they had 6 children: Mackenzie Renee, Michael James, Marcus Anthony, Meredith Grace, Mason Garrett, Mariella Hope, and Madison Lily. I would be remiss if I did not inform you all that Michael was born on the toilet on national TV. From his teen years to his 20s, Josh owned a car lot, but in 2013, he was hired by the Family Research Council, which is an activist group for conservative family values. His official title was the executive director of the lobbying arm FRC Action. Josh packed up Anna and his 3 children at the time and moved to D.C. He was often the public face of the organization and attended many events with his wife and family. Trouble arose again for Josh when in the spring of 2015, In Touch Weekly released police reports from 2006. He stepped down from his position at FRC Action and moved back to Arkansas. TLC canceled 19 Kids and Counting. To defend his name, his father, mother, and 2 of his victim sisters, Jill and Jessa, sat down with Megyn Kelly to discuss his crimes. His wife also defended him on the Duggar family website and claimed she had known about these actions even before they were involved romantically. It didn't stop there for Josh. A few months later, Ashley Madison, a website that guaranteed affairs, had a data breach. His name was on the list of users, and he admitted to the world via his parents' website that he had been unfaithful to his wife while espousing family values, and that he was suffering from an addiction to adult online content. Josh checked himself into a long-term rehab center called Reformers Unanimous. His wife decided to forgive him. The family's TV show returned under a new name, Counting On, and he was not involved. Publicly, things were pretty quiet for Josh until November of 2019 when a car lot he owned was raided by Homeland Security. The Duggars denied there was a raid on their website. Not much was known about this raid until April of 2021 when Josh was arrested by U.S. Marshals. He was charged with possession and receiving CSAM. He was released to third-party custodians, church friends Maria and LeCount Reber, within days of his arrest. While living there, his brother-in-law David Keller fell in love with the Reber's daughter Hannah, and they were married in late 2021. Due to Josh's arrest, Counting On was canceled, although he was never featured on the show. At his pretrial, his father Jim Bob allegedly lied under oath regarding details of how he handled the situation in the early 2000s. Josh's ex's mother, Bobby Holt, testified against him. In December of 2021, Josh was found guilty on both counts. His sentencing will occur in late May of 2022. Now that we covered Josh, we can move on to the Duggars' second child. Jana Marie Duggar was born in 1990, right before her twin brother John. As the oldest daughter, she played many roles, including teaching homeschool and babysitting. She has also been very involved in mission work. She enjoys gardening and home improvement projects. Jana is currently 32 as of this recording and unmarried, which is fairly uncommon for a woman as old as her to be unmarried in this world. But, I mean, she's been rumored to have courted more men than I can really count. A pretty short list would include Tim Tebow, who's a football player, Andrew Patton, a family friend, Frank Sun, who was an early TLC videographer, Lawson Bates, family friend, Stephen Wisman, who's actually her brother's brother-in-law, Caleb Williams, who's a family friend, and also Jonathan Hartono, who is a family friend. Most of these people have actually at some point lived in their home or spent a lot of time in their home, but there's been a lot of rumors on Jana's dating history. So days following Josh's conviction, it was discovered that in 2021, Jana was cited for child endangerment. The story online kind of goes that one or more children, most likely nieces or nephews, maybe Josie, were found wandering the streets by police. Rumor has it that some children escaped while she was napping, but she really denied that that was the true story. It was also rumored that she was watching Josh's children while Anna was visiting Josh at his third-party custodian home. John David Duggar was born in 1990, right after twin Jana. In 2010 and 2012, John ran for alderman of Tawnytown and lost both times. He has also served as a first responder with the volunteer fire department. In June of 2018, John announced he was courting Oklahoma native nurse Abbie Grace Burnett. He was 28 at the time and had previously claimed he was going to be a bachelor till the rapture. Abbie comes from an IBLP family with 8 children. In the following month, he proposed. In November of 2018, John and Abbie got married. Abbie quit her nursing career after marrying John. In January of 2020, his only child, as of right now, Grace Annette Duggar, was born. Abbie had suffered through a very difficult pregnancy. In the past, John owned a towing company and has participated in other ventures. John now runs nonprofit Medic Corps with family friend Nathan Bates. Medic Corps provides disaster relief. There has been reports that the organization steals resources from other relief organizations during tragedies and is very difficult to work alongside of. It would be a crime for me not to mention that John is a pilot, as that is normally all the public hears about from him. In 2021, he admitted that he had wrecked one of his planes. It's been rumored that his wife and possibly his child were also in the plane during the crash. Jill Michelle Duggar was born in 1991. At least for me, from the outside looking in, Jill seemed to be one of the most family-oriented, devoted children. Many often thought Jill was her father's favorite daughter. In 2012, Jill began studying midwifery under a woman named Vanessa. Vanessa would later go on to lose her license. In 2012, a non-IBLP accountant named Derick Dillard became one of Jim Bob's prayer partners while he was working in Nepal. Derick is originally from Arkansas and had only one sibling. At that point, Derick had graduated from OSU with an accounting degree. While they were prayer partners, Jim Bob decided Derick might be a good fit for Jill, so they were allowed to speak through Skype in March of 2013. Soon, Jill and Jim Bob went to meet Derick where he was working in Nepal, and they began courting. In March of 2014, Derick proposed to Jill with the help of country singer Walker Hayes. In June of 2014, they got married. 9 months later, Israel David was born, and in 2017, Samuel Scott was born. Jill is currently pregnant with her third son, who is due in July of 2022. So far, Israel Dillard is the only Duggar grandchild of school age to attend public school. We'll get into this with some of the other children as well, but Jill no longer shares new photos, or at least seemingly does. She really hasn't made a public announcement, but she seems not to share new photos and only posts old photos of her children for, I'm sure, privacy reasons. She started doing this, I believe, around in December, so probably around the trial. She decided it was best to keep her kids private. For the purposes of this channel, with Jill's kids, I'll share old photos if I'm making a video like this, but for other children who don't share even old photos of their children, I won't share their photos at all. Jill and Derick served missions in Central America for a couple years after they got married. Derick began law school a few years ago and passed the bar this year. He actually just recently announced that they're moving because he accepted a job offer. He was inspired to study law to protect victims of SA who were children. Following Josh's 2015 scandals, Jill was no longer interested in filming for the show but was pressured to anyway by her father, according to Derick online. After some transphobic remarks on Twitter by Derick, they were allowed to leave the show. She also claims she nor her siblings were paid for their work. She and Derick have released a lot of negative information about the family. For example, they claim Jim Bob has lied to them repeatedly and that they are no longer allowed to visit the house without permission, nor did they feel comfortable to. She settled with her father out of court to pay her almost minimum wage for her years on his TV show. Jill has shared online that she's been rethinking a lot of things. For example, I mentioned that her children now, attend public school. They also use birth control. If Regina George was a fundie, she would be Jessa Lauren Duggar, who was born in 1992. I'm just joking, but she is self-admittedly headstrong and opinionated. She often defends her family online. Jessa met Ben Seewald when his family was attending her family's church. He befriended her brothers to try to get close to her. Ben's family was not IBLP, but he does have 6 younger siblings. In September of 2013, Ben asked Jessa to court him in a closet, which was honestly possibly the most awkward display I've ever witnessed in my lifetime on Earth. Ben is known for being quite awkward in general. Many often speculate jokingly that he is high. During their almost year-long courtship, Ben moved onto the Duggar property. Ben proposed to Jessa in August of 2014, and they were married that November. Jessa and Ben have had 4 children: Spurgeon Elliott, Henry Wilberforce, Ivy Jane, and Fern Eliana. Yes, Ben picked the name Spurgeon. Ben allegedly used to be the Duggar family tutor, but he's now a pastor. Jessa mostly does partnerships on Instagram and then also gets money off of YouTube videos. Soft-spoken Ginger Nicole Duggar was born in 1993. Pennsylvania native Jeremy Joseph Vuolo was a friend of Jessa and Ben's when he attempted to make a subtle suggestion that he would like to get with one of Jessa's sisters. This is according to Ginger and Jeremy's book. Jessa decided to connect him with Ginger. In December of 2015, Jeremy got permission to get to know Ginger better. The relationship almost didn't work out, as Jim Bob and he butted heads on theology. Nonetheless, Jeremy persisted and was able to court her 6 months later. At the time, Jeremy was living in Texas and working as a pastor. He had a bachelor's degree and had a short-lived career as a pro soccer player. Jeremy did not come from an IBLP family and has 2 older siblings. Jeremy proposed in July of 2016, and they were married in November of that same year. They've had 2 daughters, Felicity Nicole and Evangeline Jo. They do not show their faces on social media as of early 2021, so I won't either. The Vuolos moved from Texas to LA when their youngest daughter was young so that Jeremy could attend Master's Seminary. As far as we know, he is still studying there. They have released a memoir as a couple and a children's book. They have admitted they are not leaving their family size up to God like many of her siblings have. Arguably, they wrote one of the most scathing responses after Josh's conviction. They wrote about him using the word evil and that they feared for his soul. They agreed with TLC's cancellation of Counting On. It is rumored that Ginger and Jeremy were the only Duggars who had a contract with TLC that was not tied to Jim Bob. Joseph Garrett Duggar, or Thick Daddy Joe as he's called on the internet, was born in 1995. Joseph began courting Arkansas native Kendra Renee Caldwell in March of 2017. They are an IBLP family, and Kendra's father was the Duggars' pastor at the time. There allegedly was beef between Jim Bob and Pastor Caldwell, so the Duggars left the church. It is also rumored Jed was initially interested in Kendra, not Joe. Joe proposed to Kendra at his sister Joy's wedding in 2017, and they were married that September. Kendra is actually like a mini Michelle, having 3 children and rumored to be pregnant with her 4th within about 4.5 years of marriage. Their kids are Garrett David, Addison Renee, and Brooklyn Praise. It's really unknown what Joseph does for work, but he probably works for Jim Bob. Josiah Matthew Duggar was born in 1996 and is known as the more theatrical Duggar and the prankster Duggar. Josiah attended Alert Camp in 2014. When I make my IBLP video, I'll go into more what Alert is. He has his commercials driver's license and his pilot's license. At least one point, he sold used cars for one of the family's lots. In 2015, Josiah had a failed courtship with Arkansas author Marjorie Jackson. It is speculated that Marjorie ended the courtship because of Josh's records being leaked in 2015, as they broke up within weeks of that. Marjorie now works for the Family Research Council, where Josh used to work. Josiah began courting Georgia native Lauren Milagro Swanson in December of 2017. Josiah proposed on Lauren's family's property in Georgia, the same place Lauren's parents got engaged, in March of 2018. Josiah and Lauren married in Arkansas in June of 2020. They have a daughter named Bella Milagro, who was born in November of 2019. Lauren grew up in an IBLP family with about 9 children in Georgia. The Swansons moved to Arkansas around the time of the courtship, although the families had known each other for many years. Her father, Dwayne, runs a yard mowing ministry where he mows yards and has phone meetings with men in need. It is said that Dwayne and Jim Bob have this mentor relationship where Jim Bob has taught him a lot about money and having a large family. Lauren is known to be high-strung and dramatic, but I've honestly always liked her. They stopped posting photos online in November of 2020. They deleted almost all of their photos off of social media in 2021 and have stayed out of the public eye. They deleted all of their photos of Bella, so I won't be showing any on my YouTube channel. She is rumored to either be pregnant or to have recently given birth to their second child. Johanna Duggar was born in 1997. She was known as the Tomboy Duggar in childhood. Joy allegedly interned for the Arkansas State House of Reps in 2017. Austin Martin Forsyth has known the Duggars since childhood. He has one sister and two half-siblings. In November of 2016, they announced they were in a courtship, and in March of 2017, they announced they were engaged. In May of 2017, they got married. Austin works in construction and is known for house flipping. He also has his EMT license. Austin's father, Terry, has two children from his first marriage, and he had Austin and his sister Megan with his second wife, Roxanne. Terry owns Fort Rock Family Camp, where Austin, Joy, and other Duggars often help out. The Forsyths were on an episode of World's Strictest Parents in 2009. Joy and Austin have two children, Gideon Martin and Evelyn May. Jedidiah Robert is the twin of Jeremiah and was born in 1998. In 2017, Jed interned at the Arkansas State House of Reps in Little Rock. He also interned for Bob Ballinger's campaign in 2018. Bob Ballinger is Austin's sister's father-in-law. In 2020, Jed ran against Democratic incumbent Megan Godfrey for the Arkansas House of Reps District 89 position. He ran on pro-life Christian conservative agenda. He lost to Megan by 12.6%. While running for office, he moved to a different district where he shared a room with two twin beds with brother Jeremiah. This is where he got the name Bunk Bed Jed. Jed now runs Champion Motor Cars in Springdale and lives on that property. Jed officially announced he was in a relationship with Caitlin Corin Nakatsu on his wedding day in April of 2021. While they kept their relationship a secret for a year, Snarkers found out long before because they found his engagement photos from Valentine's Day of 2021. In her family's blog post, their relationship was referred to as a betrothal. The Nakatsus are an IBLP family and friends of the Bates for many years. Katie grew up with her father Corey, his wife Carrie, and her sister Lauren in Arizona. She went to public school until she started homeschool in the 8th grade. Her mother Kim, half-brother Reed, and half-sister Jamie lived elsewhere. Reed Roberts actually did an interview to clear the air about his sister with Without a Crystal Ball a few days after the wedding, but he really didn't drop any tea. Jed and Katey are expecting their first child in April or May of 2022. They recently had a gender reveal for their son. Baby Duggar will be the first confirmed Duggar grandson in 4 years. In those last 4 years, there have been 11 granddaughters. Jeremiah Robert Duggar is the twin of Jed and was born in 1998. Jeremiah graduated from Alert in 2016. Jeremiah is thought to be working in construction and has his pilot's license and his real estate license. In October of 2021, Jeremiah announced he was courting Nebraska native Hannah Marlis Wisman. The Wismans have been friends with the Duggars for at least 10 years, are formerly IBLP, and they have 13 children. Most Snarkers knew they were courting for about a year prior to the announcement. Hannah and Jeremiah seem fairly lax on their courtship rules compared to his siblings. In January of 2022, Jeremiah and Hannah got engaged and were married in March. Jason Michael Duggar was born in 2000. Jason is probably most notable because he fell in an orchestra pit and busted his head open on TV. Jason has his own company in the construction industry. He actually shared Jeremy and Ginger's scathing statement regarding Josh's conviction on his story and said he agreed with it. James Andrew Duggar was born in 2001 and was in Jill's buddy team. A buddy team was when Michelle would have a new baby and give the baby to the care of an older daughter so that she would have to do less work essentially. He is one of the only siblings that seems to be very involved in Jill and her family's life, at least from the looks of social media. James went to Alert in 2019. James was also rumored to be in a relationship with Kendra's sister, Lauren Caldwell, at one point. Justin Samuel Duggar was born in 2002. In September of 2020, Justin announced he had been courting Texas native Claire Yvonne Spivey for about a year. They had known each other since early childhood but reconnected in 2019. Claire Spivey is the daughter of an IBLP family and has 5 younger siblings. The Spiveys are very close with Anna Duggar's sister Priscilla and her husband David. Her mother Hillary is known as the smother-in-law and is always up in Justin's older brother's Jason's business. Justin and Claire got engaged in November of 2020, just days before Justin's 18th birthday. In February of 2021, Justin and Claire were wed in Texas. He moved to his wife's hometown of Fort Worth and now works for his father-in-law's business, Spivey Construction. Recently, Justin was photographed giving 2 thumbs up and a huge smile at Josh's CSAM trial. Jackson Levi Duggar was born in 2004 and was the first Duggar birth to be aired on television. He graduated from Alert in 2022. Quite frankly, I really don't know much about him. Johanna Faith Duggar was born in 2005. She was rumored to be courting a boy named Carver Bowers last year. Carver denied the claims and said he had his sights on someone else. I think you're probably going to see a trend here with these last Duggars. I really don't know much about all of them. They're not on social media, and as soon as they got a little bit older, their sisters kind of took over the show. Jennifer Danielle Duggar was born in 2007. Other than being on Jill's buddy team and being kind of shy, there's really not much to say about her. Jordyn Grace Micaiah, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. She was born in 2008 and was the first birth to be featured on the TLC show. Josie Brooklyn Duggar was born in 2009 at 25 weeks and less than a year after her older sister Jordyn was born. She was in the NICU for several months and dealt with several medical issues. While in the NICU, Michelle once left her to protest a nearby gas station getting their liquor license. She is known to be the spoiled Duggar, often referred to as the precious miracle Josie. After number 19 comes number 20. In 2015, Michelle Duggar's great-nephew, Tyler Hutchins, was placed into the custody of his grandmother, aka Michelle's sister. In 2016, his grandmother suffered from a stroke, so Bob and Michelle were granted temporary custody. While his mother is allowed supervised visits, the Duggars have permanent custody until further notice. Well, that's a rundown of every single Duggar, at least briefly. If I got anything wrong, please let me know, and I will correct it in the description box at the end. And also, if you think, I should have included something that I didn't, please let me know. Thank you for watching.